Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
Employees, but due to the COVID, we couldn't put it off. We felt we couldn't put it off any longer and needed to get this behind us and give the people that we're honoring tonight their accolades because we not sure when we'll be back. So first item of business is the roll call. The clerk will call the roll. Council members will answer as the clerk calls the roll.
All right, Alderperson Boyette.
Here.
Lendrum.
Here.
Beal.
Here.
Bates.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Lang.
Here.
Bellman. Looks like we don't have Stephanie yet, but Alderperson Stevenson.
Here.
All right, so it looks like we're just waiting on Alderperson Spellman to get back on our call.
Okay.
I will text her.
Thank you.
I'm on my way.
All right, thank you very much. So the first item of business tonight, as I mentioned, and Lindsay's online in case I screw up, but normally we would have this in the council chamber. It's an opportunity to recognize our employees who have anniversary dates and have fulfilled many years on the council. And it's also the night that we honor our exemplary performance awards that we've started about 4 or 5 years ago. So we're going to take a little bit of time here to do it because I think it's clearly it's worth it. We gave all the city employees today just so the council member, well, you might have saw that there are ice cream sandwiches all throughout the city. Lindsay was delivering them to all of our employees because we wanted them to know that we value each and every one of them and the job that they do for us. I've also, I've always said that the best foundation for any business, any government entity is the employees, the employee base. And we here in Neenah, I think overall, we are blessed by having employees that care about this community, care about the jobs that they do for the community, no matter what job they're in. They really strive for perfection and strive to make Neenah a better place. So days like today, taking a few minutes of time to say thank you to our employees for the jobs they do, I think is really important, and it's kind of fun. So with that, I'm going to start out and we've been joined by many of these employees tonight on the meeting, so that's nice of them to do that. So I'm going to start out tonight with the presentation of Employee Recognitions Awards. All these awards, these certificates, they come with a small check for their years of service, have been delivered to me by Lindsay today. I have begun the process of personally delivering these awards to each and every employee throughout the city government. So I'll be going and visiting the public works, the police department, fire department, library, because I think it's important that this be done in person and they get the, unfortunately you got to do the virtual handshake now, but I just want to say thank you on our behalf of the city and the city council and our citizens for the job they do. So they'll be all getting them in the next couple days. Their award personally delivered to them. So with that being said, I want to start out with the 25 years of service award. So if you think back 25 years from now, that means the year would have been 1995 when they started for the city of Neenah. And we have 7 employees who have reached the 25-year mark. And I thought we'd do something different this year a little bit, and Lindsay helped me here. And I just want people to kind of reflect back 25 years ago, 1995, and the library staff helped me find some interesting facts and events that happened around the world and right here in Neenah in the year 1995. So we found out that in 1995, when these folks started, video rental stores were extremely popular. But an article was printed in this Wisconsin State Journal that predicted that within a decade, video rental stores and cassettes will be discarded as new technology brings entertainment straight into your home. So someone knew what they were talking about. Netscape, remember Netscape, the internet browser? Co-founder Mark Anderson, he was surprised at the success of his idea, which was now a $52 million company. He's a Wisconsin native, and he states that his interest in computers developed out of the sheer boredom of growing up in New Lisbon, Wisconsin. The 24-year-old plans to use some of his earnings to purchase a two-tone blue El Camino with flames painted over the wheels. That was the guy who started Netscape. And closer to home here, City of Neenah officials and community members began in 1995 creating the new comprehensive plan that would guide Neenah into the year 2020. That was in the year 1995. So we'd like to take a moment to say thank you and congratulate our 25-year milestone anniversary employees. And they are Mark Alberts from the cemetery, Scott Gelhar, Jim Kluge, Heath Kumro, Mike Nikolai, Larry Rudensel, and Adam Strabel. And I know some of them are with us tonight, and we'd like to say thank you to each one of you for spending 25 years with the city of Neenah, and congratulations on your service. So thanks, guys and gals. All right. For 30 years of service, we have the below listed employees started working with the city in 1990. And in 1990, these types of things were happening around the country in Neenah. President Bush set a goal to have the United States astronauts explore Mars within the next 30 years. One of the most completed T-Rex fossils was found in South Dakota, and it was named Sue after the person that discovered it. Paleontologist that discovered it. A team of skiers from Norway reached the North Pole without the aid of sled dogs, motorized vehicle, or outside support. Neenah High School coach Ron Einerson was inducted into the Wisconsin Coaches Hall of Fame in 1990. To celebrate, Einerson organized a reunion of all his teams from the last 20 years and had a tournament that year. Those employees who reached the 30-year milestone here with the city of Neenah include Pete Anderson, Dan Blakesley, Scott Fromm, Mike Yankee, Jerry Kaiser, Gretchen Robb, Ryan Reline, Rick Spoo, Jeff Strasser, and Victor Voss. And to those who reached the 30-year mark, on behalf of myself and the City Council, we say thank you for your years of service to the City of Neenah. All right. Now we're getting up there. 35 years of service, 35 years. So these individuals, 2 of them, started working for the city in 1985. Microsoft released Windows version 1 in 1985. Oceanographer Robert Ballard discovered the wreckage and resting place of the RMS Titanic in 1985. The pump-style toothpaste dispensers actually hit the market in 1985. I'm sorry. Calvin and Hobbes debuted in newspapers in the comic strips. And the Neenah High School class of 1985, they listed the popular movies as Purple Rain, Ghostbusters, and Karate Kid. For musical groups, the students were fans of Prince, the Revolutions, Prince and the Revolutions, Van Halen, and Huey Lewis and the News. And that's the year that your mayor also started his career at the city of Neenah as an alderman, was 1985. So our 35-year milestone anniversary employees are Carol Casimore and Joe Weniger. Congratulations and thank you very, very much for a long, distinguished career, and we hope for many more. Joe, did you start when you were like 15? Thought I saw Joe on here.
He's sleeping
Because he's past his bedtime. He's so
because he
old.
started when he was 35.
So no, seriously, thank you all very, very much for joining us, taking the time out. I will be around with your packets and recognition, and to say thank you personally to each and every one of you this year. And hopefully it's been a great ride with the city of Neenah, and we hope you continue for at least a while yet, not ready to retire. So thank you very much for your service. Thank you for doing the little things that make a difference for this community, and really, really, really appreciate it. So thanks, everybody. How am I doing, Lindsay? I miss anything on them?
You're doing great.
All right. Just check in with the boss once in a while. Our next area is really something that we, the council and myself, we developed about 5 years ago. And a lot of people tell us we should operate like a business and do things like a business. Well, we can't give out the big bonuses that businesses do, but we can give recognition, and we can do things for our employees to recognize when they really go above and beyond, when they really do things that, they didn't have to do that year, or they stepped up to the plate because of something happening within their department. Someone had to be off, or just a whole litany of things could be the reason why. But to honor these people and to just tell them how much we appreciate them and the jobs they do for us each and every day is exciting. Tonight we're recognizing 6 employees that were nominated by department heads for exemplary performance awards. These awards are given to employees who have gone above and beyond the scope of their day-to-day role, whether through assisting with a large-scale city project, implementing a lean initiative, or a host of other things that for some reason or not, they are exemplary. The department heads who nominated them will each share a few words as we recognize and thank them for their outstanding contributions to the city of Neenah. Our first nominee for an exemplary performance award is Greg Radke, nominated by Jerry Kaiser. Jerry? Jerry, you got to unmute, Jerry.
Thank you, Mayor. 2019 was a year of leadership changes in public works operations. Rick Freese retired after serving as a public works superintendent for many years, and Greg Radke was selected to step into that role. Since he had been the assistant superintendent, that meant that on top of learning what went with his new position, he had to find and train a new assistant. All of this happened during the time of year when winter weather dictates the schedule of the superintendent. Greg essentially took on the role of two people until he was comfortable that the new assistant was able to step into his role. His devotion to his work, the incredible amount of time that he put in, and his overriding concern that, regardless of conditions, people could travel safely through the city was inspirational and makes him worthy of an exemplary performance award.
Congratulations, Greg. Our next recipient of an exemplary performance award, nominated by Jerry Kaiser and Chris Hayes, is James Merton. Jerry?
Thank you, Mayor. The next two kind of are teamed together.
Okay,
So can I speak to both of them?
sure. And along with James Merton and Brandia Kuchek from the police department. Go ahead.
All right. Occasionally, the tools that are supposed to help us do things better or provide us with more capabilities need more work than we expect. Such has been the case with the new parking management software. James and Brandia have pushed the software and pushed the software developer to mold it into a tool that simplifies our parking enforcement and permit management. Through their detailed issue tracking, regular meetings with new park staff, and creative solutions to keep functional use of the software progressing, they have shown their devotion to providing our officers with a better parking enforcement tool and our customers with a more efficient way to handle their parking permit and citation needs. I believe Brad also has a statement from Chris.
All right. Brad Schmidt, our Deputy Director of Community Development.
Thank you. And this is Director Hayes' statement for James and Brandia. The implementation of the new park management software has been a long and tedious process that has involved at least 5 different city departments, numerous individuals, and a substantial amount of staff time. Although the entire team has worked diligently to bring the project to fruition, it has become clear early in the process that 2 staff members in particular would carry the weight of this effort. They have spent numerous hours creating the necessary ordinances, website modifications, customer portals, and back office applications. They have problem solved customer issues and hardware challenges, and they have worked with our patrol officers and our vendor to identify and eradicate phantom software issues. In recognition of their tenacity, dedication, and unwavering fortitude to see this project come to fruition, Chris Hayes is honored to recommend Traffic Engineer James Merton and Support Services Supervisor Brandia Kuchek for the well-deserved Exemplary Performance Award.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. The next person that we'd like to honor, nominated by Chief Aaron Olson, is Deputy Chief Jeff Bernice. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. Jeff is not very happy with me, but I'm going to do this anyway. So, Assistant Jeff Bernice is not an ordinary supervisor, leader, or coworker. He is extraordinary. In the matter of months after Jeff was hired in March of 2019, he was able to establish himself as a trusted leader and member of the Neenah Police Department, which is not an easy task to move from one department to another. He implemented better channels of communication within our department. He started several programs such as Iron Cop, monthly fitness challenges, focus groups, Tuesday topics, and so much more. Jeff is an exemplary employee who is very deserving of this award. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, City Council.
Congratulations, Jeff. All right. The next presentation of an Exemplary Performance Award, nominated by Gretchen Robb, Nicole Hardinia Williams. Gretchen?
Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
I was having trouble with my sound. Okay. Nicole instituted the library's book bike, affectionately named Bibliocycle. She researched the different book bike trailer design options. She requested and received funding from the Friends of the Neenah Public Library for the construction of the trailer and the purchase of the bike. She contracted with one of our former employees to build the trailer to the specifications. She single-handedly coordinated the entire process and personally brought the bike out into the community along with other staff to share materials with children, families, and adults several times a week. Kids in particular loved to see the bibliocycle ride up to their local park. She was a real hit at the Y camps at Memorial Park. Nicole and the bibliocycle were even featured on the cover of the Post Crescent last year. Thank you, Nicole.
Congratulations, Nicole. And then the last person that we'd like to recognize tonight, also nominated by Gretchen Robb, Nancy Baird.
Nancy coordinated the move of the circulation desk, the relocation of the self-checkout machines, and the remodeling project to create the new volunteer workspace at the library in 2019. The project could have been a logistical nightmare because it needed to be done while we were open to the public and required that there be little to no interruption in service to the community. Nancy carefully planned the process and worked with furniture movers, with Pat Fisher, with electricians, staff, and others to make sure everything went smoothly. The new location of the circulation desk, the hold shelves, the self-checkout machines, and the volunteer workspace has been very well received. In fact, Nancy is so careful in her work that one of our electrical contractors specifically requests Nancy draw up plans for work that we need done at the library. He knows that she would identify what was needed and that they could work from her drawings. Thank you to Nancy.
Congratulations, Nancy.
Thank you.
Council President Stevenson, would you like to add anything?
No, I just want to take a second on behalf of the council, congratulate all the exemplary performance award winners. It's obvious that a lot of people on our staff go above and beyond every day, and to be acknowledged like this is truly even more special. So to those that weren't acknowledged, please understand that your efforts are just as much appreciated. To those that were acknowledged, congratulations, keep up the great work. And to Joe Wenninger, 35 years, holy moly, congratulations.
You got that right. Any other council members have anything they like to say, or anyone else? This is really the fun part of the job, and this is important because we do really, I visit almost all facets of our operations around the city, and I visit with our employees, and people really truly do love working here for the most part. You can tell by the number of years that are that we honored tonight. I think Lindsay, 545 years of, if you add up all our 25, 30, and 35 year award winners tonight. So people like working here. It's a great place to work. We're continuing along with your help to make sure we're treating our employees fairly and making sure that they're recognized for everything they do, and that all employees are treated with respect around here, and make sure that they understand that our taxpayers are the people who we all work for, and we're going to do the best job we can to make this community better each and every day. So thank you all for letting us take the time to have this special occasion here tonight. Thanks for joining us, those that did. All right.
They're welcome to stay.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so now we will go on with the rest of our work on the agenda tonight. Item number 2, there is no mayor's appointments. There will be next meeting, I believe. We do have a couple appointments ready. Item number 3 is approval of the council proceedings of July 15th, 2020 regular session. Is there a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
There's a motion by Lendrum, seconded by Erickson, to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion, correction, additions, or comments? Seeing none, is there any objection to unanimous consent to approving the minutes? Any objection? Hearing no objection, that's ordered. There are no public hearings. Item number 6 is the public forum. Is there anyone on the line who would like to talk to the council during the public forum portion? I don't see anybody, so I'll ask one more time. Is there anyone on the line who would like to speak to the council? If not, I will close the public forum. There is no consent agenda tonight, so it takes us to item number 9, which is the report of standing committees. Public Services and Safety Committee meeting, Chairman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. I have one item to report. The committee recommends council approve the purchase of the 2020 BC 1500 XL brush clipper from Vermeer of Wisconsin in the amount of $51,300, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? I do believe Todd or Jim or someone, did we have to identify where, because I believe we're taking money out of reserves for this purchase, if I recall. Do we need to identify that in the motion tonight, or is it okay like this?
Not other than the fact that we're taking it from reserves, I would guess. Capital equipment reserves, I believe.
Yes.
There was a specific place to put it to, then it could be designated. Otherwise, it could be put to reserves.
Well, it's Jerry. Yeah, it's 50,000, I think, and then 1,300 out of reserves, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what we laid
Capital
out
equipment,
to committee.
Okay, so
capital equipment reserve.
the minutes should probably reflect that. So that's all. Okay.
Good
Any
idea.
comments or questions? All right, all in favor of approving the purchase of the brush clipper will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no as your name is called.
All right, Alderperson Lendrum.
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
and Boyette.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes. Thank you, Stephanie.
That
Item number.
concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Item number B is the regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of July 27, 2020. Chairman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item is the committee recommends council approve resolution 2020-11, providing for the sale of approximately 1,865,000 taxable general obligation promissory notes, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson. Seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Director Easker, can you just remind for the general public so people know what this 1.865 million is being borrowed for?
You bet, Mayor. Thank you. Again, the city was involved in 2 separate land purchase projects. The first one was the purchase of Lawrence Salvage Yard, which is located in the city's TIF 9. And the second is the purchase of land adjacent to County Highway G that will ultimately be used and sold back to a developer for residential construction. The city had to separate this borrowing from its normal borrowing because there is the likelihood that the land that the city is purchasing will ultimately be resold back to private entities. And IRS regulations indicate that if that happens, or if that could happen, the private entities cannot benefit from the city's tax exempt status, and therefore the city cannot borrow the money on a tax exempt basis, meaning that the lower interest rates that come from tax exempt borrowing cannot be forwarded on to benefit specific private entities. So in this case, the city has to borrow this money separate from its typical public infrastructure borrowing. Financial advisor Bigut is also on the meeting tonight to discuss we can discuss the next step. This is the first step, and there will be one more step for the council to approve the final financing that is being considered. So Brad, if you want to spend a couple of minutes discussing the specifics.
Sure, thank you, Mike. With this issuance, we're seeking out the lowest cost of money for the city. And in this case, that happens to be a placement directly with a bank. So rather than going through a competitive bidding process with underwriters nationwide, what we're seeing in the market is placing this with the bank will be the lowest cost alternative. The estimated rate on this is 1.7%. With the council's authorization tonight, we will take steps necessary to complete that placement. We'll complete a limited disclosure document. We'll negotiate the interest rate with the bank and finalize that rate. And then the final award resolution would be back before the council at its next meeting in later this month, August 19th. So what we're showing right now are just projections. Overall, what I could say is interest rates in the last week have hit all-time historic lows for municipal debt. And the rates we're seeing on this type of obligation, a bank placement, is about 0.2 to 0.25% lower than the rates the city I would expect to see from an open market issue. In addition, there's lower issuance expense. There's lower fees from Baird, from bond counsel. There's no rating fee because there's not a rating needed. So overall, it's the most economical method of finance. This is scheduled to be repaid over a 10-year period with level payments top to bottom. And again, the estimate is 1.7%, but that may come in higher, but frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually come in, if we're able to get this locked in a little bit lower, giving the very positive tone of the market.
Can't hear you, Mayor. No.
Well, can you hear me now? Oop.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that explanation. Alderman Bates, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Brad, with a product such as this, is there a callable date when we can pay it off or no?
There is. This can be prepaid at any time after the first principal payment. So September 1st of 2021 is the first call feature. So it's much greater call flexibility than we would see on an open market issue.
Thank you.
Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, I mentioned in committee about the extreme low cost of borrowing here. Brad, if we were to be taking like our $9.5 million or just under $10 million typical annual capital improvement money to market right now, would we recommend? Could we place that borrowing in this kind of program? If not, why not?
So in general, the answer is yes, you could, but in specific to Neenah, because you had issued earlier this year, you'd be limited to borrowing in aggregate less than $10 million tax exempt. So we could go in and backfill and get up to that $10 million figure, and I don't have the exact amount that we had borrowed earlier this year. I can check that real quick.
Actually, Brad, if I could, I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken, we may have borrowed non-tax exempt at the beginning of the year because it didn't seem to matter, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah, you borrowed tax exempt, but we borrowed right up to that $10 million.
No, but I mean I meant back bank qualified. I thought we may have borrowed non-bank qualified even if we were under 10 million because the market was so topsy-turvy that it didn't make any difference. In fact, Yeah, if you can look back, I'm fairly sure we may have, not that we anticipated we would borrow again or more, but I think there was just that idea that if we could, we might as well. So if we look back at that, I think in theory, that option may be available to us. Now we'd have to discuss other consequences of that, which would be all of the money that we would be borrowing probably would not be, I don't know that any of the projects that we'd be borrowing for would be able to be started much earlier than next year, which means then we're borrowing money even at a low interest rate and investing it at a, dirt cheap interest rate. So the negative arbitrage we would see on that might not make the numbers work.
Well,
Anyway.
I understand that. That was a response to my original suggestion that we just go out and borrow for a potential parking ramp and whatever, because you're getting 1.7, and the news we heard tonight is sounds like it could go lower. My question tonight was, when we go to borrow next year in January, February, would this tool be considered because it's so competitive?
Yeah, it certainly would. And in fact, in all cases, this was considered this year. It was any time we put together a financing for the city, we're looking at all alternatives: state trust fund loans, open market, private placements, and the recommendation that comes before the committee is the low cost option.
Okay. Have we done this before? Have we utilized? I know we've negotiated direct sale, direct placement, and typically that's been through Baird in the past.
Right.
Not with a third party winner or negotiated, or how that works.
Right. This is the first time that this has been used for Neenah. This is a sort of a fledgling market. In fact, Baird is one that's sort of developed this market. In the past, banks really haven't had a lot of interest in taking on direct placement debt. In this new environment, they become much more competitive, much more active in this market. As they're reaching for higher yield, they're finding they can get better returns by purchasing entire blocks of debt like this than they can by buying piecemeal on the secondary market.
Well, I hope they're there in February.
Yeah, no kidding. Mike, do you remember, just to give people, it wasn't that long ago, we borrowed money for the exhibition center at about 3.9 maybe. We borrowed money for the Champion Center at 3 point something. So
Yep.
we're down to 1.7, not too much. My number is pretty close, aren't they?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. So
And those
And let's not forget.
and those were
and those are 20-year payback, Brad?
yeah, a little better than 20-year payback on those, right?
Wow. Todd?
And let's not forget those are going to be paid back theoretically through room tax, which is just dropped off the roof. So at some point, different discussion, but I kept hearing about reserve funds. So at some point, the finance committee might want to be updated as to how that's looking.
Yeah. Or we should ask the exhibition center, is it possible to refund those that they have and go back into the market, Mike? Wow. So it's something we should talk about.
Sure.
Anything else from anyone? All right. Brad, thank you for the explanation and for joining us tonight. So there's a motion, approve resolution 2020-11, which would provide for the sale of approximately 1.865 taxable general obligation promissory notes for the purposes that you had heard. Any last minute discussion? Otherwise, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no, as Clerk Cheslock calls the roll.
All right. Alderperson Steele,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
and Lundrum.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes unanimously. All right,
Okay.
Go
Item
go ahead.
number two, the
I'm
committee
sorry.
recommends council approve the purchase of two Palo Alto $15,000 or PA-820 devices from Heartland Business Systems at a cost not to exceed $15,000 with the purchase funded from the Information Systems 2020 CIP budget. And I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderman Steele. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no. Using the, as the clerk calls your name, please.
All right. Alderperson Bates.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Lang.
Aye.
Spellman.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Boyette.
Aye.
Landrum.
Aye.
And Steele.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes.
Item number three, the committee recommends council approve the purchase of an additional ImageCast Evolution tabulator and required hardware for $9,188 using funds from the WEC CARES subgrant, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson. Is there a second? Alderman Bates. Any discussion, comments? Alderman Bates, go ahead. Then Alderman Boyette.
About how soon are we going to be able to get this machine in?
Clerk Cheslock.
We aren't, is the simple answer. They are entirely and completely out. As soon as finance approved this, I was in touch with Dominion, the manufacturers, and they are out of machines and have nothing refurbished, no options. But it does look like we're able to, hopefully, I have earmarked with the county, we can borrow a machine for November. So we should be okay this year, and then we can purchase next year so that we are, fully equipped on our own. But we are, I think it's like 98% sure we have one for November. I talked with Sue Ertmer, our county clerk, and we should be able to borrow their spare machine.
Well, we got till December, as I understand it, Mike, to use this CARES grant. So even though we may not purchase it, I think having the authorization there in case the company one becomes available would, we may not spend it if we're not going to buy one, but I think it probably makes sense to authorize the purchase if one becomes available. Is that a good analogy or not?
Sure, I think that's true. As we discussed, this purchase is not necessary for us to spend the funds sufficient to reimburse ourselves for the 17,000 plus amount that is our allocation. So
right.
we'll be able to look at the alternatives, down the road one way or the other. And if this piece of equipment's really needed, it would, likely be recommended, or at least the council would consider purchasing it, whether we had CARES election money or not.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other comments by council members? Alderman Bates, go ahead.
Stephanie, how long have we had the other ones? I mean, they last quite a while if we don't change, or if the county doesn't change over its requirements.
Yes, I am not positive how long we've had them. I would say, based on my experience in Menasha, the whole county went over to them, I think in 2016, because that was when I started over there and it was all brand new. So I think they had implemented it county-wide all at the same time. So, and I think because of how we care for our machines, I'm not worried, at least, about them not holding up for at least another whole election cycle. That is not to say I don't feel more comfortable having a spare on hand, because even when they're working great, something goofy can happen and all of a sudden it's not connecting not reading something and we have to go to manual throughout the day. So it's nice to have a spare just for election integrity.
Other comments? Alderman Stevenson, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I'm not quite sure I fully understand the pay requirement, utilization requirement of the CARES money, but Stephanie, or have we talked to the vendor about maybe paying half down to get our space in line to make sure that we get the next one off? If that would, I'm not advocating that, but I'm saying whatever we, however we can best use the money, get reimbursed for a half down or something down, so that we're next in line, or whatever, however we can leverage our ability to get the machine. Let's be thinking like that.
So from what our reps at Dominion said is that they're not looking at having any machines from the manufacturer. Things are backed up from being created and built because of COVID. So I know computers are on backlog, and these are big computers. So they are not, they don't have the products to create more machines right now. And so they're not looking until early 2021 even having that. I can reach out to them. That wouldn't be an issue. I would also just say, like Mike said, we have tons of other expenses we can put that CARES money toward to make sure we are using our full grant. So this was just something kind of more immediate that we really wanted, really needed, and it was a good use of the funds. Not to say we couldn't use them elsewhere. And then I believe we'll have funds for next year to be able to buy that machine when they become available.
Well, where would those funds come from?
I think my budget,
Well,
if you guys approve it.
That's my point. I mean, I think the council needs to understand, yeah, we've spent a hell of a lot more than $17,000 on election related CARES qualified expenses. But so, I mean, we pay Peter, we pay Paul, so we just allocate this 9,000 or 9188 to some other tape that we buy, somebody's got me on speaker. Whatever. So if we've got money available, and if I would not want to borrow more money to pay for this, if we can utilize these dollars. And I'm sure we have levy dollars that we could utilize this too, but let's save the borrowing. I mean, my guess.
Mike, have any thoughts?
No, just to reiterate again, I think the sequence of events that occurred here was that when City Clerk Cheslock brought this to my attention and to the attention of the mayor, the idea was that even though we already knew that we had significant dollars either expended or to be expended in the next month or two to fully cover the $17,000 plus amount that we have allocated to us, that this machine made real sense to purchase now, absent the inability to buy it because of them not being made. But if it would have been made, it would have been probably a better use of the funds, or at least it tied it to the funds that we currently had. But it's all going to kind of come out in the wash anyway. And in this case, if the city now decides that it is important to have another machine for future elections instead of having to beg, borrow, and steal from Winnebago County, then it will, the council will have to determine if it passes the priority and the scrutiny that all other budgeted items need to pass. So I think, you know, you're going to be fine either way. If it's something that's really needed, I'm sure the council will determine that.
Other questions or comments?
So do we take action on this then, or because this motion specifically says we're authorizing the purchase and we're identifying the funds to do it.
I guess it couldn't hurt. It's not going to hurt anything to make the motion in case, like somebody said, a machine were to become available from Dominion. But right now, I guess it's kind of up to Jim and Dean if we need to take action on it or if we.
If we don't take action on it now, there won't be authorization when it comes up. If we have to move quickly, if the motion is in place, then we know where to move on it. And if we have to reassign where it gets paid out of because the COVID grant is used up, we'll come back to the council for that designation.
Okay, anyone else? Alderman Boyette, sorry, go ahead. Alderman Boyette?
So I guess I got a poor connection. Can you hear me?
You're
Hello?
good. Yep, you're good.
Okay. So my question is that then, same as Todd's, we can't purchase it. We've been told we can't purchase it for at least another year. So if it does need to come back to us, I would think we would just deal with it when it comes back. Because I'm confused. How can we spend the money that we have, but we can't purchase it? We can't give them the money to hold one or to order one or to prepay one. So yeah, I don't understand.
Just give me the authority. If tomorrow I get an email from Dominion saying we were wrong, we found one in the back room, do you want it? I could say yes. But if we don't take any action here, if we're lucky enough to have that option yet this year, my hands would be tied and we would have to go through this process again. So it really, I won't, nothing will happen unless we get lucky, basically. So it doesn't hurt. The money would still be used. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. We can still use the money, report to them in December what we've used the funds for if this doesn't happen.
Correct. And I guess maybe the thought is if we're trying to be transparent and accountable, maybe we could add something to the effect to approve the purchase of the ImageCast Evolution Tabulator and required hardware for 9188. If such hardware or if such a piece of equipment is available for purchase prior to the expiration of the CARES subgrant deadline. Because that right now, I agree with Alderman Stevenson, we're linking the CARES money to this. And if the CARES money basically expires, and I do not remember if it was 12/31, if that was a calendar year, I don't remember, but it does, the expenditures have to take place, I think, leading up into this election and maybe at the end of November. And so I think maybe adding that sort of phrasing to it would be very clear that we're going to buy it if it's available from this money. Once this money expires, the purchase is no longer approved, and there would have to be another authorization or appropriation from the council to buy this again. Because I agree, once that money's expired, based on this motion, there really wouldn't be funding to purchase it in February from regular capital reserves, because that's not the funding source.
Right,
So
I agree.
Mike has just outlined a possible friendly amendment. Would the person who made the motion and the second, would they accept that as an addition as a friendly amendment to that motion? Alderman Erickson and Alderman Bates. So the motion will add that verbiage with regards to the expenditure of those funds. Anyone else? Alderman Stevenson, go ahead.
So we know for a fact that the CARES money requires us to itemize and provide receipts for all the things that we say we spent the money on. But what happens if we allocate the rest of the money to overtime wages that was caused by the pandemic? How do we document that?
Are you talking about for elections?
No,
Because
whatever we need to send to the people who control the WEC CARES money.
Right.
What else are we telling them we are spending this on?
Well, again, this money we're talking about is specific to elections.
Okay, so what's the difference? Where are we spending 17,000 minus 9188?
Okay, we can start with $2,500 times 3 for the ShopGo rental of the building. That would be $7,500 just to start.
Postage.
We have the postage was another additional postage.
Right, okay. So we have to submit some sort of proof that we spent that to these people, or how do
yes, there has to be something to indicate that we've spent money on something election related.
Okay.
And Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure that the plexiglass was eligible or not. I don't remember specifically. Not that we need that money anyway, but I'm trying to remember.
I don't think that was, because it was like there was something about temporary structures or something weren't eligible.
Yeah. So so that may not, but again, I think we realize that the postage itself that we had to endure back in April and for November will more than cover whatever else we need to get close to that 17,000. I know it's not, getting up to that number will not be an issue. That I know for sure.
All right. Alderman Bates, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So the 91, whatever we're going to insert if we don't spend the money on this machine, the 9188, that money must be in some other budget line item at the time. So if we don't spend the money on this machine, we actually save money on whatever budget items those would have come out of.
I think I know what you're saying, and the answer is yes, because that money would have actually just had to come from general fund reserves, if nothing else, if we did not have the CARES money to apply toward it. That's correct.
Thank you.
All right, there's a motion and a second with friendly language added to it. All in favor will vote aye, all opposed will vote no, using as Clerk Chesak calls the roll.
All right, Alderperson Erickson,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Spellman. Aye. Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
and Bates.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes.
Item number 4, the committee recommends council approve the 2 leases between the City of Neenah and CHL Neenah LLC, owners of ShopCo, for the August and November elections, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Questions or discussion? This took a little bit of maneuvering in that because the ownership is somewhat changed from who we were dealing with in April, and Jim did a nice job of working through this and getting this done. So I've already heard from people in the public who have said that this is a good decision and having it out there. So we've appointed a task force with Alderman Stevenson and Adam Westbrook and Stephanie and myself and Pat Fisher and some people that are going to ensure that the things that we did in April, we can hopefully replicate most of those things and have a successful August election. Alderman Lundgren?
Thank you, Mayor. When you're talking about a lease here, do you, wouldn't it be prudent to talk about the dollars that go with that and the funding source? Or are we just talking about a straight lease and we don't even mention the money?
Well, the lease is the language and the dollars that are in there. So, right, Jim, we're approving the lease document that is going to the owners, which shows the amount that we're paying, because there are some, you'd have to list everything. We're paying for the electricity for 4 or 5 days. We're paying to turn the air conditioner on, which is $190 or something like that. We're paying for some of those things, but it doesn't amount to much because these are like 3 or 4 or 5 day leases. But one of the things that they were most concerned with was making sure that that they're free from liability and from potential lawsuit type action. So Jim had to finesse that, add them to our insurance to them and things like that. Is that correct, Jim?
That's correct, Mayor. They were added as additional insured, both the owners and the lenders. That the property is up right now under foreclosure. So CIVIC was real good about working with us in terms of getting a certificate of insurance and adding the parties as additional insured. It doesn't really affect our coverage. We're still covered, obviously, by CIVIC as well. As far as where the budget will come out of is out of the elections budget. This is a COVID-19 related expenditure, so we may be able to get reimbursed from that through the grant proceeds that we have currently.
Okay, but don't we have to identify the funding source, potential funding source, and the amount of money that we were talking? It just seems odd that we're just passing it like this without any mention of that.
We're approving the lease. If you want to have that on the record, that's not a problem. The cost per period is $2,500 each. So each lease is $2,500 in rental. For each the August and fall election.
And when you say the elections budget, do you mean this this grant, or do you mean the DOLIS budget?
To begin the DOLIS budget, and then we'll submit the items for reimbursement to the extent that we have monies available under the federal grants.
Okay, I would feel more comfortable if we added all that into the motion. If that's
doesn't
okay.
hurt. It doesn't hurt.
Right.
We do identify, yeah. And as a second, I'm okay with that.
Okay, it's more transparent.
Fine with me.
So the motion will be added to add the $5,000 plus the incidental expenses of heat or electricity and some other operating expenses for those 4 days. Okay.
And the funding potential funding source, I think is important.
Okay.
Actually, it's not a funding source. We'll seek reimbursement through the grant to the extent it's available.
Okay. There you go. All right. We'll make sure that's in the minutes. All right. All in favor of that motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no as Clerk Cheslak calls the roll.
All right. Alderperson Lang.
Aye.
Spellman.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Boyette.
Aye.
Lundgren.
Aye.
Steele.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
And Erickson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes 8-0. Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Item number 10, special committees, liaisons, various special project committees. There was no Plan Commission meeting. The Board of Public Works meeting of July 28th, 2020. Vice Chairman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the July 28th meeting, there are only 2 informational items. The board approved pay estimate number 1 for contract 4-20, water main and street construction on Green Bay Road, Tuller Road, and Marathon Avenue to Vinton Construction Incorporated in Two Rivers in the amount of $230,628.77. The board approved pay estimate number 2 for contract 3-20, hot mix asphalt street construction on Van Street, Monroe Street, Gillingham Road, Shooting Star Drive, and Armstrong Street to Summers Construction Company, Shiocton, in the amount of $505,989.79. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Moving on to the Landmarks Commission report, Alderperson Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting from the Landmarks Commission meeting, which was held July 22nd. There was a discussion of investigating the process for demolition permits and the responsibilities and duties of the Landmarks Commission in regards to the demolition of historic homes ensued. Further research into the possibility of making some changes to protect historic properties, especially those adjacent to designated historic districts, is being considered. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for that report. Item D, Sustainable Neenah Committee. Carol Cassmore from Community Development informed me that the Sustainable Neenah Committee has started to meet again through virtual meetings, but due to committee member vacations and other commitments, they didn't have enough for a quorum last week, but they plan to in August. The committee is going to continue to find ways to sponsor the Neenah Farm Market, which they've done for several years, along with offering education on sustainability topics at the market. But this year, since they're not allowing those types of booths at the market, they're going to look for other opportunities to get this information out to the community. And they're also plan on discussing in August continuing discussions about opportunities for more energy efficient projects at City of Neenah facilities. So they are getting back in the swing of things starting in August. Item number E, the bid board, Alderperson Lake.
Thank you, Mayor. The bid board met on July 21st. A sign grant was approved for Vision Architecture that just recently located above Trisha's Treasures downtown. City of Neenah updates included the 2 downtown apartment complexes that were recently approved. That definitely will have a huge positive impact on the bid. The Summer Madness sale is going on now, or coming up August 6th through the 8th. So check that out downtown. There's further discussion taking place regarding Ultimate Ladies Day and if that will end up happening this year or not with the pandemic. So that's difficult to determine at this point. I also updated the group that the 5th annual Neenah Menasha Intertribal Powwow will be postponed until 2021 due to the pandemic. So we're sad about that, but lots of cancellations this year.
Thank you for the report. So starting tomorrow through the weekend, through Saturday, there will be downtown merchants will be having displays outside and sidewalk type sales, correct? Good. All right, Bergstrom-Mahler report, Alderpersons. Go ahead, Todd.
I have a question. Are we closing the street, the 100 and 200 block for that event? Any consideration for doing that?
There was consideration. They, with the short notice with COVID, things like that, they didn't believe that they would get enough participation to make it look like it was full. So they elected to just do it this way this year and then look towards next year.
Okay. A couple of people asked me about it.
Yeah, we asked them to kind of guide us on that, what they would like to do. And there's not unanimity on that also, you know, between some of the businesses. So this is what they decided to go with this year. So we're honoring.
My guess is the restaurateurs who would love to be able to expand, and the retail people who like to have people be able to pop into their store probably said, not such a great idea.
You're a visionary.
Well, and part of the problem
I just
too
told
is, part of the
Jane,
problem too then is staffing, you know, your outdoor spaces and your indoor spaces. So it's kind of logistically difficult for them, I think. Though it, historically, we used to do it all throughout the street downtown. So the good old days.
yep, yeah. All right, well, thank you for your reports. There are no petitions. Any council directives anyone would like to look at? Is there any on?
Sam.
Did I do that? Oh, I'm sorry, I went right past it. Alderperson Spellman, sorry about that. Berkshire
That's okay.
Mountain Museum report, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. The board last met on July 22nd, and the museum is now back to its regular hours, which are Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and Sunday from 1 to 4. The current featured exhibit is called Form and Feeling, which represents human emotion and expression. The museum also said goodbye to its executive director of 14 years, Jan Smith, who is now enjoying a well-deserved retirement. The new executive director is Amy Moorfield. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. Council directives, no unfinished business. Any unfinished business by anyone? Under unfinished business, I would like to just say that we are still talking and monitoring about the meetings. I think with the recent, we've had some discussions about that, and I want you to know we did have a meeting with Stephanie and Joe and some of us to look at logistically how we could get back to the council chambers for council meetings while still potentially allowing someone who wasn't prepared at this point to come back to the council chambers to attend virtually. We have a little bit of feedback problems and things like that. If we have too many people online and we still have meetings, all the microphones on in the council chambers. Joe is still exploring that with the city of Menasha and things like that. And so we'll be making a decision soon. So with the new mask ordinance that was put in by the Governor Evers and that, and the numbers, we have made a decision at this point, and Todd and I have talked a little bit here and there, and we will continue to talk about this, and when the council is ready, we'll make that decision. But at this point, we feel that these meetings are working like this. So, but at some point, we're going to get back to the council chambers in a manner where we can social distance and things like that. So within the building, we are having in-house meetings with staff at times. We had a training session. We just make sure that masks are required and that we are social distancing. So that's where we are with that under unfinished business, unless anyone else has anything with unfinished business. And then under new business, I would just like to, before anyone else, I'd like to just say that we all are aware that I had given a new policy for the city a couple days before Governor Evers came out with his new order that city employees would be asked to wear masks in common areas and private meetings with other staff members and the general public. I think it's going over, it's going fairly well. People are utilizing it in a common sense type of way. And we haven't had a lot of blowback on it. We're trying to be as cognizant of people's feelings on this and that, but then subsequent to that, the governor has kind of overshadowed that with a statewide mandate inside buildings. So, but as you look through the city, we have employees who work outside, who pull garbage, who work in the cemetery, who are on a lawn tractor all year. So we've asked each department to kind of utilize this how they see fit. It's in the best interest of the employee, best interest of the public. So, but the compliance is pretty good, just like the public. As I went around the city, we're seeing a lot of voluntary compliance throughout the community. And really, at the end of the day, that's what I think we should all want, and a lot of companies, corporations are themselves making the decision whether they're going to ask people to put masks on when they enter their business, and we are seeing that throughout our community. And so I do want to also tell the public, because this will be on TV on our Access channel, the August 11th election will be held, and we need your help to get this word out. We are going to start hitting Facebook and our website and the media pretty hard now that the next election, August 11th, will be held at Shopko once again. Because people are going to start asking that question. Early voting's going on, so we need to get the word out. We need your help to let people know that the election in August and November will be held at the Shopko store. It's 98,000 square feet, and we had a very good election in April, so I'm quite confident that we'll be able to do it again. Lastly, Friday morning is the court case, or the court is hearing some motions on the Lakeshore development. So that is Friday morning, and we're going to go into closed session and discuss that. So other than that, that's what I have. If anyone else has any announcements or anything, Alderman Lundrum, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Real quick housekeeping. I think I just didn't know how to tell everyone. I would like the city clerk to not have to send us the county agenda. We are all perfectly capable of signing up for that ourselves through email. She did not ask me to do this. I just feel like it's a waste of her time when we all can do it ourselves. So is there any way we can make that sort of an administrative delete for her?
If that's the council's desire, we can certainly implement it.
We can all sign up ourselves.
Well, that's one person's opinion, so we'll talk about it and bring it back. Okay? If it's okay. I mean, we'll talk about it. I mean, isn't that it's hitting a forward button, but it's kind of like
it's one more thing that she has to remember to do, and we all can do it ourselves. We can go online and sign up for our own emails.
That's true. Good point. Okay. Anyone else? Alderman Erickson, you have something?
Thank you, Mayor. I was wondering, the city has been getting a lot of positive comments about the extended food and beverage areas that we're allowing. And I was wondering, are we going to be reviewing that at the end of that term and looking at possibly extending that for next year, even if there isn't an issue with the pandemic? It's been very popular, and it seems like that's helping businesses in our area.
I think it's up to the council. Director Hayes, I know, would, Brad Schmidt might want to pipe in, but they have been getting positive results. I think at the end of it, I think we need to look and see what were the positives, what were the negatives, see if the police department had any concerns, if the neighbors had any concerns. So, but you're right. I mean, maybe this may lead to becoming the new norm, so to speak. So I would hope that we look at it by next year, but we'll get through this year, and then maybe a committee will want to take a look at it possibly too.
Okay.
That's just my opinion, but yeah, I think you'll analyze it when it's all done.
Okay.
But you are correct. I mean, we are getting some good positive feedback, and business owners are appreciative of what the council did, taking these steps to do that. I think it's up to them too to make sure that there's no problems with that as far as, alcohol related, loud music, those types of things. And thus far, we really haven't had much of any of those kinds of things. So we're not out on, fortunately, we haven't had any things like the sandbar on Lake Butamore, we just haven't had those types of things. So it's been a good positive experience, I think, for most of our people thus far. Alderman Stevenson?
Yeah, I think that we gave the authority to the Community Development Department to act on those requests in our absence. That's what we approved. let's not forget restaurateurs, if they like what they're doing, always has the option coming in and asking for a permanent expansion, which would ultimately have to be voted on by the council. But my guess is come colder weather, the ability to sit outside is going to be less. But if I'm a restaurateur and I have a lot of good feedback on it, I think those people will probably be coming in asking for us to give it to them permanently, which would require us to act on it, right? Is that logical?
This does have an ending date, correct?
I think it's September 30th.
Correct.
Brad, this has an ending date. Is that correct?
October 1st.
Okay. So, and any alderman can also bring it up and say, hey, so yeah, Todd's right. So, any of those things can happen, but I'm quite sure we'll revisit it if it works out well. Alderman Steele, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I have a comment to make about that. Having used those outdoor tables downtown, I would say the issue that I have seen is motorcycles with apparently no mufflers whatsoever roaring down the street to the point that you cannot hold a conversation. I've seen restaurant owners glaring at them, but I'm wondering if there's any kind of enforcement to get those people to stay off the street so that people can actually enjoy being outside and actually talk to each other. It's really annoying.
I will pass that on to Chief Olson. It's been a continual problem. They actually purchased a machine to actually take decibel readers from the motorcycles, and they have had training to find out what are stock and what's not stock. And so they're trying to address it. I don't think they've given a lot of tickets at this point, but they know it's out there, and we have about 3 or 4 people in this community who are continually reminding me through the email process or phone calls of these motorcycles with very loud non-stock mufflers. So I will tell Aaron about that again, and yeah, it's all about enforcement.
Thank you.
I'll put her on here. Anyone else? If not, I would take a motion to adjourn into closed session. Someone would like to make that motion?
So moved.
Alderman Stevenson moves, seconded by Alderman Boyette, to adjourn into closed session to pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, conferring with legal counsel to the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is likely is or likely to become involved in Ulrich versus City of Neenah, Lakeshore Avenue litigation, Lakeshore Avenue reconstruction project. There's a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Seeing no one opposed, that's so ordered. So we are now back in open session.
Where did Kathy Boyette go?
We lost internet connection.
Oh. We will give her a minute to try and get back on.
I texted her.
There she is.
There she is. All righty. There you are, Kathy. Welcome back. So, anyone else like to discuss anything, or would they like to? Is there any motions at this time, or is there any suggestions for a future meeting? We do have finance on Monday. We could piggyback a 6 p.m. meeting if people are so inclined.
Mayor, just to let you know, I talked with Chairman Erickson. As of late this afternoon, we did not have any specific agenda items for Monday for finance. So it looks as if, absent anything coming up tomorrow, we would be canceling that meeting.
Where, okay. Jerry, how does Tuesday look?
Election day.
Election night, we had 3
Oh yeah, that's election night. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. So okay.
So we're not meeting on Tuesday night?
No,
Okay.
Won't have quorum.
All right. So there probably won't be any meetings on Monday or Tuesday, but that doesn't keep you from meeting if you would like. I guess I would ask the question, you know, I mean, is there something the council would like staff to look at, or just more time to read the memo or to decipher the memo? I mean, are there other, not companies, but other people who can do this work that people would like to see what, I mean, that's going to take some time to bring another person in. We used our best, I think Jerry and staff used their best judgment after I heard them talking about We Energy strongly suggested UWM and the quality of work that they do. So they went with these. Am I stating that correct, Jerry?
yes, you are.
Okay. Jerry's frozen in time again. Oh, there you go. All right. I thought we lost you, Jerry. Sorry. Alderman Stevenson, go ahead.
Somebody has somebody else on speaker. Because I can talk and I hear myself.
Okay.
Okay, so I really would like to have like all the information before I vote. Like I'd like to see the 14% map, what areas are being done. I'd like to at least have to be able to ask a question or two about the proximity, the contribution that the off-street trail has with the acre determination. Just look at those numbers. That's like having some information. All we got was numbers and a really disturbing memo. It would have been nice once we knew we had this issue if the council had been made aware of it immediately, because then we would have been able to start understanding, ask questions, share with our concerns. I don't know when this was brought to light, but I gotta believe it wasn't at noon today.
You're on mute, Jim.
Jim.
Jim, you're on mute.
I agree, Alderman. I think we were feeling our way along the process and certainly notifying the council earlier when they first indicated that we needed to retain an expert probably would have been the best move that I should have made, and I take responsibility for that. I apologize for not doing that. But it is what it is, and for the project to go forward, we will be required by the DNR to undertake the approved mitigation plan, and so that includes paving the road itself. That we can't do that until we complete the mitigation plan. So we're trying to balance the need for getting the project to go on a timely basis, as well as the litigation that's going on. And frankly, I certainly didn't know the extent that the mitigation plan was going to require the kind of excavation that they're talking about. But we can get that information out to the council tomorrow morning. As far as the maps, we do have those as a part of the revised plan, and we can get those out quickly in the morning.
Let me ask this question: if the court sides with the neighbors and says you can't do a trail, do we still have to do all this stuff?
Yes.
Okay. Alderman Lang and then Alderman Bates.
We were made aware of this archaeological survey way back at the beginning of July, because I can remember I was out of town and I was sad that I wasn't going to be around to be able to watch it. So when I did get back, I asked Jerry for the out of interest, what did it turn up and stuff. So I've kind of followed along with it. And it was at the beginning of July that we first were, starting to engage in this process for getting the permit. So it has been in progress for a while. I did go back and get the survey from Jerry at the end and then ask for the follow-up. So I've been kind of keeping track of it. And that information, maybe should have been thrown out to everybody, but I'm not uncomfortable with it. I was following along with the process as it went.
Alderman Bates.
And I have to agree when Jerry brought up the idea of the need for a archaeological thing. He did discuss when I talked to him about how they were going to have to peel off a section and evaluate it to a certain level. So I wasn't surprised by this either. I guess the number, the dollar amount, and I don't know how many other companies actually do this. That was the only kind of question I might have, but I would be okay with deferring this to a Monday night cow, since everybody would have been around, or most everybody would have been around for the Monday night meeting anyway, but it got canceled. So if they want to move it to a 6:30, Jane's not happy.
It would need to be a special council meeting because we need to have final approval for final action on the request. And the cow would be just a committee approval in effect.
You can take the vote tonight. I can abstain from voting. I'm just saying, I'm not happy about the process. I would like to know specifically when we got the $79,000 number from UW Milwaukee, because Jane knew about this in July. I probably heard about it too. I hear about a lot of processing. I never hear about a $79,000 request 53 minutes before our first meeting.
The $79,000 proposal came mid last week. We were working after that with the archaeologist to refine that excavation area that was identified in her proposal. We got her revised proposal about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
Alderman Lundrum.
Is it unreasonable or reasonable to have a compromise and not wait till Monday and do, I know this sounds bad, but a Friday night, 6 o'clock cow?
No.
No, which one, reasonable or unreasonable?
I can't meet you on Friday night.
I can't meet on Monday night. I have a
Monday.
meeting on Monday night.
Jane, you can't?
Plus, with the hearing going on Friday afternoon, I'm not sure how long that's going to take, and we may be tied up in Oshkosh until 6 o'clock.
Okay, so Tuesday?
Voting day.
Tuesday is voting. It would actually be Monday.
Alderman Bates, go ahead.
I guess I'll test the waters. I'll make the motion to take the extra amount needed for this study out of reserves.
Move to approve the proposal and take the money out of reserves. Is that the motion?
Out of public infrastructure reserves, just to clarify.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Well, Jane just brought, there's a motion and a second to take the money out of infrastructure reserves. Jane had a possible alternative funding through the community foundation. I suppose we could still, it's kind of hard to ask for money once you already approved the expenditure. But, if there's someone out there who's willing to donate funds to communities that are doing these types of archaeological things and historical things, but we can still contact them, I guess, even though you would go ahead and give the funds. So. Okay.
So I have a question.
Alderman Lundrum?
So this is unusual. It's a little bit like a point of order, but Alderman Stevenson, would it be okay if I asked you a question directly?
Sure.
Okay. So is the only thing, and I'm not minimizing it, but I'm saying is the only concern you have is that this was rushed through. So the secondary part to that is, do you think by waiting that we could come up with a different person to do it or a different organization? I mean, I guess what I am very curious, and I would love to know what your concern is, other than, you're right, it was rushed through. So do you have not even a concern, do you have maybe a thought or an idea on what else we could do other than this UW paleontologist?
Couple ideas, couple thoughts. Lakeshore Drive, as we all know, is probably the highest profile project this community has undertaken in my 30 years here, at least from a road perspective. You're going to have interested parties who are going to catch wind of this process, and we're going to get beat up for it because we did another rush through, whatever. I want to see the 14% map because I have questions of Jerry, and I want to understand this acreage and the size thing, and I want to make sure I know where we got all this stuff that required us to do that. So that's what that. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Yeah, not really. I guess what would delaying it until, let's just say Wednesday, do for you, other than you're getting information that you are looking for on the details on the site? How would it change what we are really obligated to do? And would it, how would it change? Like, could you imagine maybe somebody else stepping in and taking over? I'm just trying to see what your thought process is, because I respect your opinion.
First of all, the council, the perception of the council will be that we are doing our job and understanding what we're voting on.
Yes.
We have the ability to ask questions. So the primary one is the almost assumption that the council was just going to act on $56,200 without having questions on the highest profile job that we've done in my career road-wise. And it gives our process credibility because we don't do things that way. And we may have it other times, but that's my rationale for it. You know, I can abstain. I don't need.
No, I get it. I'm just concerned that none of us have read the memo.
That's right.
So that's my bigger concern.
Sure.
Thank you.
I will say I did hear someone say that they got the information today at 2 o'clock. Is that right? Yesterday, 2 o'clock yesterday. So it got to them late too. So so we could either wait till next week and try and find time to meet, or there is a motion on the floor to move forward with this expenditure at this time. Refresh my memory, there was a motion by Bates, seconded by who?
Alderman Steele.
By me, but can I ask another question? So
sure.
I guess, I mean, it looks to me like we need to approve this for the project to go through, and I can understand the issue with not getting this information sooner, but I don't think we have a big choice here. The reason that I would see for delaying is if, for instance, Alderman Lang thought there might be another funding source through the community foundation. I just don't know. I've applied to the community foundation for funds for something else in the past, and I just don't know how long it would take to get any kind of an answer for that. If we could get a yay or nay from them, or we could probably fund this, within a few days, basically by next Monday, then maybe it would be worth delaying a little bit. But I just don't know that that's going to. I don't know that it would be possible to do that quickly, but I might be wrong.
I plan on calling Kurt in the morning or tomorrow sometime, maybe with Alderman Lang, and making the appeal, no matter what we do, I guess. So, because I think if there's a avenue that is a possibility, we might as well explore it. So, Jane,
I
did you have?
agree with that.
Jane,
Maybe I just want to withdraw my second at this point to say, yeah, I think we should take maybe a little bit more time to look at whether there's other funding sources for this.
Jane, did you have anything to add, Jane?
I just wondered, why would it necessarily preclude us looking at other funding sources if we approved funding it through the reserves and then received a grant? Couldn't we then apply the grant and not have to use the reserves?
It's possible, yeah.
So I don't really think that it makes a difference that the motion says that we're funding it through the reserves.
I think that there is a possibility of being somewhat disingenuous if you go to a benefactor and say, we really need you to do this, when you've already approved spending tax dollars to do it. So,
well, I have no idea if this is a possibility. It just was something I thought, we could give a quick call and find out, but.
Yeah, I get it. Alderman Bates.
We've approved other things where in the motion, and maybe if I corrected the motion to say researching grants or using reserves. We've done that with, I believe, police dollars and things like that. So I would think that would be Mike, I think we've done it that way.
Sure.
In
A
which
number
case,
of times, yes.
You could actually send a message to your donors and say, we're funding it through donations or from grant money. That way you're on the record of saying that.
Right.
And if you don't have the grant money, then you reallocate the dollars out of the reserve.
Jim, how does that sound to you?
That if there's authorization to go ahead with the contract, and we're going to work on the funding source, rely on the reserves, but then go out and fundraise. I don't see any problem with that at all.
Yeah, pursuing grants as well as any shortfalls with reserves.
We will distribute the mitigation plan maps and report that we received late last week.
That sounds good to me. I would second that.
Okay.
Stephanie, you okay with that?
Alderman.
I guess I'll just reiterate so I know I'm on the same page. Alderman Bates, you're amending the motion to add grant research and filling any holes with reserves, and then Alderperson Steele, you are seconding that amendment.
Yes.
Are you coming back to? You had withdrawn your second.
Yeah, so I'm reinstating my second with those changes. Thank you.
It's in effect a new motion.
I think they clarified their motion, Stephanie, with clarifying language.
That's good. That's a good way of putting it, Mayor.
Anyone else? We will follow through with that tomorrow then, and try and at least make a phone call and see what we can find out with a tight time frame, and see if there's any possibility exists. So, okay. Anyone else? And then Jerry, you're going to get out that information to everybody regardless, sometime tomorrow or whatever, as soon as possible.
I'll get out tomorrow morning.
Okay. Anyone else with regards to this discussion? Stephanie, I just have one question. While we were in closed, was you stopped recording then, I presume?
I did not, but I believe they can edit it.
Okay.
Fox can definitely edit it.
I just want to be sure that what we send to the people at the public access channel doesn't make it on TV because we were in closed session. So
Yep. So Tom Franz directly downloads it from our GoToMeeting account, and then they do their work and they can edit it out. I can email him tomorrow to reiterate that we need to cut out the closed session stuff.
All right. I think in the future.
I need it for recording because we don't have
all right.
We're not
That's
in person.
I think we'll talk more tomorrow, but okay. I just want to make sure that the sanctity of a closed session is considered, that we don't have a slip up. That's all. Okay, anyone else? If there is no one else, there's a motion and a second to fund the request, the necessary funds for the archaeological study by UWM with exploring grants, the possibility of grants or donations. And if those do not transpire, to fill the gap with the infrastructure reserve dollars for Lakeshore, the reconstruction of Lakeshore and the trail. Am I stating this right?
Well, I think the first part of it is that the authorization for staff to enter the agreement for the mitigation plan. Then the funding will be looked for through donations, and then to the extent that's not there, reserves.
So is there one vote or two, Jim?
One vote. That I think that was the intention of the motion.
Yep.
Okay.
I would agree.
All right, that's fair. Good, thank you. That's better stated than I did. Okay, so you all understand the motion before we take the vote? All in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no as the clerk calls your name.
Did we see Alderperson Stevenson wanted to speak? Do we want to wait?
Oh, Todd, did you have your hand up? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand. The vote, if you vote yes, you're authorizing us to enter an agreement we haven't seen yet. Is that right? Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Alderman Bates?
But we're also voting for an agreement that has been given presentation to us, and that is obligatory for us to complete a project.
That's a statement, not a question, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. Anyone else before I call the roll? Hearing no one else, all in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no, using after the clerk calls your name, please.
All right, Alderperson Spellman,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Abstain.
Boyette,
No.
Lendrum,
I haven't read the email, so I'm abstaining.
Steele,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Erickson,
You got to unmute yourself, Tammy.
No.
Lang.
Aye.
All right, that is 4 ayes, 2 noes, and 2 abstentions.
All right.
Not the majority of the council.
That's right. It's the mayor. It's in effect a tie, and you need to decide if you're going to break the tie.
I was just gonna, and I should have asked this beforehand. This requires a simple majority or 2/3 or what?
Majority.
I'm sorry.
Simple majority.
Don't the abstentions vote with the highest, or is it the majority?
Oh, the abstentions are considered the equivalent of a no vote for purposes of determining the outcome. If they're considered like a yes vote, then it would be sufficient to pass the motion. But there's not a true majority here.
All right. Seeing as though it's only August 5th, and I mean, this is, can I, well, I don't know. Never mind. It seems to me that after listening to the discussion, there seems to be enough questions that are still unanswered. I'm not. I'm gonna vote no, or I'm gonna make a decision not to break the tie at this time, and we will take this up next week after everyone gets a full appraisal of the rest of the information that people are waiting for. I don't think a week is going to disrupt the timetable that much. I mean, if we get started a week later, hopefully we can try and get together. The ability to meet virtually will give us a few more options. So at this point, I'm not going to break the tie, and we will deal with this next week. Okay.
Can I ask a question, Mayor?
Sure.
Was there a reason why we weren't able to call a special meeting on Monday?
I think Jane kind of gave me, in the morning, I'm going to ask schedules or whatever for people for next week. We have election clearly on Tuesday. Jane, did you have a problem on Monday?
I have a board meeting at for Historical Society at 6:30, but I could do a 6 o'clock if it was brief,
Well, and I was going to ask that if we could do,
or even 5:30 or something.
if the majority of the council was available at 5 o'clock or something, or 5:30, I think what I'll do is I'll send out a quick thing tomorrow, or have Joni do it, asking if there's a time on late Monday afternoon that people would be willing to get together. That would give you the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all of us to look at the additional information that we're waiting on, okay? Is there anyone who believes that Monday's a no-go for them for some reason? All right, seeing no one, I think that's what we'll do then. And by then, everyone will have the information in front of them. And I think it's only fair that people have the ability to at least look at the information. And I don't think that this is going to interrupt the timetable that much for the UWM people. I mean, we've got a court case going on and everything else. We're going to learn more on Friday. So I'm not going to circumvent the process in this case. And even though I know it's pointed out to me, we do it all the time, but this is, we can wait till Monday, okay? All right, anyone else have any announcements or anything before we adjourn? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Alderman Stevenson moves, seconded by Alderman Boyette. All in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. www.ccpc.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.